Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, with Scump revealing that OpTic are upping their grind going into the World Championship. Is it possible that further content commitments could detract from the team's performance come the big event of the season? Very much enjoying your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that. One nice little nade-shot clip here from back in the day. Strike zone domination to start out the video. Doesn't get too much better than this. Firstly, just did want to mention real quick, there's nothing really else to report on the aBeZy situation. For now, he did do his kind of highlight reel, right, to, well, get a job somewhere else in some other esports league. So yes, there's been all sorts of drama about this the last couple of days. I'm sure you guys have been following along. Look, we don't know the full story from all of the sides. We probably won't find out for quite some time. I'm sure the casters kind of just want to put this behind them, right, and focus on actually making the event what it can be. But maybe in the off-season, we'll get some more details on the matter. There was also this, just to touch on from Crimsix, because, as he says here, got a CDL Champs 2022 interview this morning, because they've been doing this with quite a few players, interviewing the guys, getting their thoughts on what champs mean to them. Of course, Crimsix, a rather good guy to interview because he's been there and done it a fair few times before. Decided to hack the mainframe, and I found something extraordinary, he says. Thought, honestly, that this one especially is like, it's so wholesome, to be honest. It's pretty funny stuff. But anyway, he goes on to say, going with this one, and then I guess he joins the CDL call for the interview looking like this, and then they're like, okay, Crim, come on, mate, like, we've got to actually make this look legitimate. And as he says, gonna need you to take off the pirate costume and remove that Scars 17 for the background, please. Cast 3, if he's saying this. Like, he's basically like, okay, yeah, look, we've got to do this legitimately. Now, I'm not exactly sure who's been doing the interviewing so far. I did see the other day that Miles was interviewing Simp for some kind of pre-champs content as well, and we don't think Miles was involved here anyway, but might be rather interesting if Crim is legit, that it actually was Caster 3, the mysterious Caster 3 that was on the call with Crimsix here, and then maybe when we actually watch the video, depending on who the other guy is, if there is someone interviewing Crimsix in the video, we might be able to get some further details on who this mysterious Caster 3 might turn out to be from his witness statement a few days ago. So pretty entertaining stuff. Do want to mention though, speaking of Crimsix, his thoughts on Kismet actually, because Kismet's been a player, like, he's honestly deserves an awful lot of credit, because stuck on Paris Legion, well, not really stuck on Paris Legion, but he's pretty much the only member of that original Paris Legion roster from back in Modern Warfare that actually managed to escape the purgatory and come back and be a big time player in the CDL. He's honestly been a revelation for this team. I think Paul-X was very important for them, and in terms of pure impact, Kismet has been that guy, especially throughout their stage 4 run. Like, I mean, the best objective player, I would say, in the entire game right now. Like, just watching what Kismet does, even statistically, but just the eye test is absolutely phenomenal, right? And Crimsix has a few words to say for him, but also he says that Scump thinks Kismet deserves maybe even more credit than he already gets. Scump's been watching Kismet's gameplay and thinking, wow, this guy is straight up undeniable. Apparently at the kind of after party, right, where the aBeZy incident occurred, but also it was Crim, Scump, Standy, and Paul-X, I think, were the only 4 players there in attendance. According to Crim's testimony, he was talking with Scump, and Scump maybe he had a few drinks, but he kept on saying that Kismet was a 99 overall and giving him an awful lot of credit.
I was going to talk about, I don't know how the Kismet is as good as he is. Seth was drunk as shit. He kept telling me about how Kismet's a 99 overall. He kept saying he's Mr. 99. Bro, the guy played a RuneScape.
So it is good to see Kismet back in the league and frying like this, because there's many players out there like Kismet, really. I mean, Kismet's a great example, but people who are in the league, let's say back in Modern Warfare, or even in Black Ops 4 in the Enigma 6 team where Kismet was so nasty. This is a clip from back then where even Crimsix is talking about like how good Kismet was effectively. Goes on Paris, obviously doesn't go particularly well, and then because it's Paris Legion, he struggles to get a spot back, has to earn it back over the next couple of seasons, gets back in the league and is absolutely killing it, right? So it's cool to see. It's nice to see as well Scump giving him his credit, because I'm sure Scump's watching other players and looking at the way Kismet's playing and thinking, wow, that guy is being hella impactful at the moment. He's got, of course, Hydra alongside him, but Scump might be looking at it and thinking, okay, what can we take from what Kismet and Hydra have going on there to actually employ in our own gameplay as well? And of course, the OpTic guys looking to take things to the next level in terms of the grind, as we'll see here in a second. Just wanted to mention this because Dashy does appear here, as do other players, the likes of Cellium and also Pred, definitely a player of note we'll see in a second. But yeah, these are the top hardpoint performers on Bacage for the regular season. Attach appears here, as does Cellium. Pred, honestly, I would say if you look at the most recent matches, Pred's probably number one, to be honest, at least in terms of SMGs. He's the only SMG apart from Capstar who's on this list. Awakening as well is, tied 5th and 6th right here, which is kind of interesting as well, with an average KD of 1.13. And Capstar was a monster on this map, but of course got benched from the team a little bit ago. Now Dashi, of course, appearing here, as you might well expect, and Methods is in the Bacage blender. But the OpTic guys, they've been seemingly leveling up their grind going into the World Championship. Apparently yesterday doing 3, or whenever this podcast was recorded, doing 3 sets of scrims. That's something which is rather rare earlier on this year, especially due to the fact that there's limited teams that OpTic actually want to practice up against. There's 4 teams to them on the other side of the bracket: FaZe, New York Subliners, Seattle Surge, and the London Royal Ravens. And seemingly they played FaZe once, then Seattle twice in a row to get maximum practice. Could actually be detrimental if you do too much practice, because Scump says towards the end of it, after playing against Pred and the guys for 4 hours in a row, he was getting kind of checked out, to be honest. So maybe the quality of practice decreases to some degree when you play for, 6 hours in a row playing against these top teams. Just playing Bacage over and over again, I'm sure it can get pretty mentally taxing. But also I was wondering, okay, they played all these scrims against all these teams, but what was the search and destroy going on? What about the VOD review? This type of stuff. There's other elements to practice that I'm sure they're putting in as well. So not just I'm sure they're doing these other elements, but also grinding out 3 sets of scrims a day. That was something that, as I say, we did see some teams do earlier on this season. It's kind of rare. Most teams do 1 to 2 sets a day, but yeah, they're putting in seemingly all the time going into champs.
You guys have been playing 3 a days.
You're saying we've been...
Yeah, you guys have been playing.
You're putting in work. You're putting in work.
We did have a 3 a day yesterday, and that sucked.
Yeah, what the hell? 3 a day? I don't even think
Now we played FaZe, and then we played Seattle in a full set, and then we played Seattle in a full set after. So I was playing Pred and Lamar for 4 hours straight. At the end of it, I was like, I'm getting off, bro. We were playing them for 4 hours straight. It was a long day yesterday.
Either you live with the pain of overworking, or you live with the pain of regret.
Okay. What's Lamar tank?
What's Lamar tank?
Yeah, what's Lamar tank?
A heady that he goes to.
On what map?
Or no, it's Lamar
On
tank
Boke?
is back on Bokage, yeah.
That one back left?
Yeah, back left.
He got a
Lamar tank, actually.
That's
He
Lamar,
got it.
yeah.
Wait, does everybody in the league call it that?
Nah,
I've heard a lot of people call it that. That's why I asked.
I think they all just followed what we said.
Wait,
But yeah,
how do those go though? Is for scrims? Does it get to a point where you can practice too much? I've always wondered.
Yeah, yesterday we practiced too much. I've literally just said I was shooting against the same 4 people for 4 hours.
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
At a certain point, you're like, dude. At a certain point, you just get checked out. You're like, you can't.
Especially when there's jacked as Pred, and he's just spawn killing you. It's just so jacked.
1 week until champs, Seth. Obviously, thank you for allowing some of your hours to come towards content.
Thank you, man.
So certainly appreciate that.
3 videos today. Champs is in a week.
Champs in a week. 3 videos.
3
today.
videos.
Okay, well, that being said, there's a
Wait.
blackout. There's a blackout starting Wednesday.
No, there isn't. I have content tomorrow and Thursday.
Damn.
Starting
not anymore.
Wednesday.
Not anymore.
Huh?
I said starting Wednesday afternoon. There's a blackout. There's a blackout of content until champs.
Do you think that these?
What do you
not
mean
like
until
we're-
champs? We have this week. We leave next Tuesday.
Do you
Yeah,
think
that's
that these
until
content
champs.
days are potentially making your performance at champs worse? Maybe.
No.
Food for thought.
Food for thought.
I mean, it could
You're
affect
the
practice
worst.
if I have to
You're
wake
the
up
worst.
earlier and I'm not as all there.
Why? I'm saying you guys should cancel his content.
See, in when you put it like that, it makes a little bit of
Because
sense.
I only slept
You
6
guys should
hours
not be
last
giving him
night.
content when
'cause
he's got a week until champs,
Yeah.
and then put it as a bullet point to rub it in his face.
I only slept 6 hours last night, and my normal schedule, I usually wake up for like 10,
Yeah.
so I usually get like 7 hours ish.
Yeah.
But today, 6 hours, had to wake up.
And as we did look at the other day, right, this of course is the World Championship bracket. OpTic find themselves on the lower half of the bracket, so they will be only playing right now the teams above them. Now, apparently FaZe has taken a slightly different approach. They don't scrim New York, obviously, but any other team, I think they don't really mind too much because they don't really know if they're going to play Seattle or London in round 2. They might lose to New York. They might, London or Surge might lose, so they're not really too bothered about, really restricting their scrims phase. They just play every team that isn't New York, I think. Whereas OpTic are choosing not to scrim anyone on their side of the bracket and are just preferring to scrim the teams on the upper side. But I thought Scump made an interesting point towards the end and formal as well about the fact that, like, the content schedule that is currently going on for OpTic, right? The fact that he was doing like 3 videos or something on the day that this was recorded, and then Scump was saying, well, look, actually, maybe it is affecting my practice to a degree because I had to get a bit earlier to get there for content instead of getting up. I think he usually sleeps like 2 to about 10 or something. Instead of getting up at 10, he had to get up an hour or 2 earlier, get there for content a bit earlier. That meant he only got like 6 hours of sleep, which maybe as the day progressed reduced the quality of practice. So it's an interesting one. Usually you do see, like, of course the streams get cut up for the OpTic guys, but he's still getting involved in podcasts and stuff. But as Hitch said, they're kind of going to do like a content blackouts from pretty much today or yesterday maybe until they fly out to Champs next Tuesday, right? I thought it was interesting Scump mentioned because the event starts on Thursday, makes sense for them to fly out on Tuesday, make sure they're there ready to go on Wednesday, getting all prepped, and then, well, of course the event officially begins on Thursday, August the 7th. Just to mention this as well, because obviously the OpTic guys are launching this as well at the same time. Like, there's this OpTic Nation kind of early access type thing going on. It's basically like a membership thing where you get exclusive content and stuff like this. I'm pretty sure they said that there's like post-event press conferences and stuff. So I guess I'll have to give Hex the $3 a month or whatever he wants to get access to that stuff and have a look to see what they had to say. Hex does go on to clarify here in the replies that this is basically just above and beyond normal stuff. So all the same YouTube content will still be there. All the same free content will still exist, but certain additional things will be now behind the exclusive content paywall or whatever. So it's an interesting idea. I think, honestly, given the way that kind of businesses are trending nowadays with subscriptions, it's a pretty intelligent business model because you only need a few thousand people to do this and you're making like 100k plus a year from a program like this, and you get to give exclusive content and rewards to your fans. So I think it's an intelligent idea if it's executed correctly. Now I wanted to mention a couple of things before we close out the video here. We will talk about the Champs bracket and the schedule here in a second because the times were confirmed yesterday. And well, Mutineers come out with Major Maniacs top 5 map rankings of all time. Raid and Standoff are probably going to appear in most people's top 5. Solo and Arsenal I think are nice picks. Infection from Black Ops 3 is an interesting one, of course. He did like going up on the kind of top rock up there. It's his mountain. But I mean, yeah, like a Search and Destroy star really back in the day. Infection was a good map. I wouldn't say it is necessarily top 3 all time, but I thought it was kind of interesting that he threw it in here. Solo from Advanced Warfare, Arsenal from Black Ops 4, if you guys are unfamiliar. But this is the schedule for the World Championship, of course, beginning on August, I think I said the 7th, is August the 4th, and the Championship final is on the 7th. But here we go. We only know the 4 games so far: London Surge, Thieves Boston, OpTic Ultra, and then FaZe Subliners, all happening on the Thursday, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. This really, as like a European viewer, is probably the best we can hope for. The fact of the matter is, it's a West Coast event, and therefore they're not going to try and do things too early. Like London Surge begins at 12 p.m. well, at midday, right, on Pacific time, where the event is going on in LA. But the issue is really when you get to Saturday that there are many games ongoing here, and I kind of find the schedule a little bit strange, just because Thursday has 4 games, Friday has 4 games to determine the first 2 teams that are going to go out of the tournament on the Friday, and then there's 2 winners bracket games. Then on Saturday, that's really the big day, because you've got, you go from 6 teams remaining on Saturday down to just 2 teams remaining on the Sunday, right? So Saturday is like an absolutely immense day of Call of Duty to go from 6 teams left down to just who the grand finalists are going to be. They have everything happen on Saturday, really, and then Sunday is just the finals, right? Which I think is okay, but I think it's a little bit strange, really, that pretty much like the best day of COD here is going to be the Saturday, and then we've just got the, the best of 9 grand finals on the Sunday. Thankfully, though, the Saturday games are going to start at 1:30 Eastern time, so it is going to be 10:30 a.m. Pacific, but this is basically what they did for most events so far this season. When there's 5 games, you've got to really start it an hour and a half earlier, because these matches are already scheduled to finish at 2 a.m. here in the UK, and, with delays and stuff like that, it's more than likely going to be later than that. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button. Tells the YouTube gods it's a good video, and it's like you should see it as well, and I hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.